Perez now as we're going to get ready for our next bout's ring introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome as he makes his entrance to the ring DeMark Scott.
Well, who learned his lessons? You know, who took the better notes in class? Who can apply those lessons on test day?
Jacob.
It's time for the exam. DeMark Scott.
DeMark Scott entering the ring following his lead trainer, Fred Buggy. And you see here he looks somewhat determined as he comes in. He knows the boxer Calvin Rooks. He's boxed him, as we mentioned, recently in January, or rather November of last year, and it wasn't too long ago. So let's see how much he remembers as he gets ready to await the ring entrance of Calvin Rooks.
Y Carlos, ¿cuál es el favorito de los dos esta vez?
O sea, sin duda tengo que de nuevo mirar a Calvin Rooks. Calvin me confió antes de la pelea que ha trabajado mucho en su movimiento de la cabeza y su movimiento lateral, y va a tratar de usar un poco más técnica esta vez para tratar de terminar el evento a término rápido.
No cabe duda que pues es el boxeador más grande ahorita en el ring, y pues a la vez pasada vimos que utilizó muy bien esa ventaja, y veremos si vemos otra pelea interesante, si vemos que Calvin Rooks puede aguantar la presión que se le pone encima. ¿Y tú qué dices, Caso?
Both boxers weighed in at 189 pounds yesterday, right at the cruiserweight limit, just about 1 pound away. And we're going to get ready for the official particulars now. Jake, the jubilant one, Gutierrez.
We continue with the action here at the Orleans in front of a sold-out audience. 4 rounds, a rematch in the cruiserweight division. Scoring this bout will be Jerry Roth, Ricardo Ocasio, and Paul Smith. Our referee in charge is the fair but firm Joe Cortez. Introducing first and fighting out of the red corner, he entered the ring wearing red trimmed in white, and he weighed in at 189 pounds. His record stands at 1 victory with 1 defeat, and it comes to us from Flint, Michigan. Ladies and gentlemen, here is DeMark, the Nuke Scott. And his opponent fighting out of the blue corner. He's wearing the blue trunks with white lettering, and he weighed in at 189 pounds. His record is the same as his opponent, 1 victory, 1 defeat, and he is from Memphis, Tennessee. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Calvin Rooks.
Fíjate que Calvin Rooks ya está listo para, yo creo, entrar a la categoría de los mastodontes, porque pues vemos que tiene buen cuerpo y creemos que sí puede avanzar en esa categoría, ¿no, Carlos?
Bueno, lo cómico es que él piensa que pudiese teóricamente bajar a 175 libras. Quisiera saberle dónde se lo quitara, hombre.
And here we go, action underway. Fair but firm, Joe Cortez, the third man in the ring. And now we see DeMark Scott coming off first with a couple of strong jabs, and Calvin Rooks distancing himself. With a nice, you see the speed right there, the vicious right. And now I see DeMark Scott seeming to come a little more aggressive here in round 1 than we know him to come in his last fight.
DeMark Scott knows the heat is on in terms of his career. If he's going to be a professional fighter, he wasn't too convincing in his first 2 fights, despite the fact that he's only 1-1. He was extremely non-aggressive in both of those fights, and I think that win, lose, or draw, you got to please the crowd. He knows that his career is essentially on the line to a certain point here. The thing is, he's got to overcome that psychological disadvantage of having been on the canvas early on against the same opponent just a couple of months ago.
Pues lo bueno que entraron de una manera rápida para agradar a la gente, porque pues en esta categoría muchas veces pues no son tan rápidos, y vemos que Calvin Rooks tiene una rapidez tremenda para tirar ese gancho que puede ser definitivo para que gane por knockout de repente, ¿verdad?
Yeah, Calvin Rooks possesses something that is it's not something you can teach in the gym. He's got remarkably fast hands for a 189-pounder. He lets go that left hook, that jab right there, as you saw, in that sneaky right hand with tremendous quickness.
Yeah, and DeMark Scott going to want to keep his hands up high this entire fight because there you go, as you see, with the right hand up, you're not going to be able to get it up in time to see one of Calvin Rooks' lightning fast punches because they're just coming too fast. You're going to have to keep your hands up if you're DeMark Scott throughout this entire fight. Keep your elbows in to protect the body and use that jab, work off the jab, keep turning Calvin Rooks until you see your opportunity because those punches are coming fast from Calvin Rooks.
And if the question is who's learned their lessons, so far it looks like DeMark Scott learned his lessons. He is indeed keeping his hands up and boxing much better, being a little more aggressive, working on his jab. I think for Calvin Rooks, he needs to invest in some body punching here to see if he can get DeMark Scott to lower that guard a little bit.
Pues en este primer asalto estamos viendo que Calvin Rooks es una persona más inteligente que DeMark Scott y pues vemos también que su velocidad está impresionando a todos y sin lugar a dudas pues hasta ahorita va ganando este asalto.
Yeah, I tell you, I mean, if I didn't know this DeMark Scott from watching him in the past, I would say this is a completely rejuvenated guy. He seems to really have honed in on the fundamentals. He's keeping his hands up a little higher. He's being more aggressive. He's using the jab more. He's coming forward. And he seems to be the aggressor here in round number 1.
Well, it's also maybe a case of less jitters. I mean, his debut only went 1 round. His last fight was almost his debut in a sense because his first fight had been so short.
Yeah, and I'd say it was a pretty impressive showing from both boxers here in round 1. I may even give the edge to DeMark Scott just for being the effective aggressor. However, Calvin Rooks, we know, as we said, he's got a puncher's chance like anyone, and DeMark Scott's going to want to keep his hands up this entire fight.
Vemos que Calvin Rooks entró como un toro y en realidad no se dejó golpear mucho. Aquí vemos la repetición. Vemos que se mueve alrededor del ring y ataca de una manera exacta cuando él piensa que es el momento y al mismo tiempo también se defiende para no ser lastimado de algún mal golpe de DeMark Scott.
And as we watch a replay here from round number 1, you see DeMark Scott working off that jab, and Calvin Rooks hopefully going to be coming through with a different game plan here in round number 2. He's going to want to take advantage of that speed more, I think, coming with some angles, stepping to the side, staying away from that jab, and coming through with some good angles is going to go a long way. And
his angles were good. What he needs to do is one, jab himself because he didn't throw it that much, and when he did it was very fast as he sneaks in a big right hand there. Work the jab because if he can make Scott worry about the jab, he's going to make it easier to sneak in his right hand. Also, again, as I said, he'd be smart to invest in some body punching.
Pues vemos que Calvin Rooks esta vez como que no le funcionó ese ramalazo que tiene de repente con la zurda y pues está tomando un poquito más de tiempo y vemos que DeMark parece que ya encontró una manera de también atacar y hacer valer su presencia en el ring.
And DeMark Scott here at the center of the ring seems to be the more confident boxer here. Calvin Rooks still looking for an opportunity to land his right hand. He hasn't really let it go that much here halfway through round 2.
Como que se le acabó el gas de repente porque lo vimos muy activo. Bueno, ahí vemos que tiró un upper también peligroso que dio en el blanco.
I think he's being patient, Jaime.
Patience is the name of the game.
Well, unfortunately, they've only got 4 rounds in this one, so patience can only last them another round or 2. They're going to have to start letting their hands go if they want to make an impression on the judges.
And I think he's trying to counter as well, but again, he needs to go downstairs at some point because when you look at Scott, Scott's got those hands way up high.
And as their legs get tangled, Calvin Rooks almost hits the deck, and a nice right hand to the body by DeMark Scott, the first of the fight that really lands. And DeMark Scott now going to try and keep the pressure on here towards the end of round number 2.
¿No crees, Carlos, que es demasiada defensa de DeMark Scott en esta pelea?
Not this time. Definitivamente esta vez está siendo más agresivo que en las últimas 2 veces. Y tiene sus manos bien altas, por eso pienso que le conviene a Calvin Rooks atacar el cuerpo. Pero DeMark Scott no, va adelante, tira el jab, suelta las manos, más agresivo sin duda esta vez que sus primeras 2 peleas.
Y vemos que Calvin Rooks como que se le acabó un poquito el área, ya no está tan agresivo como en el primer asalto.
It's interesting, but through 2 rounds, Calvin Rooks looks like he should be the better boxer, but it seems like DeMark Scott is actually doing the better boxing by a little bit, in my opinion. Here through 2 rounds, DeMark Scott just isn't letting his hands go like he's wont to do. It seems like if we had a punch CompuBox here, DeMark Scott would be well ahead on the percentages.
Sí, pues DeMark Scott ya encontró el caminito.
I think DeMark Scott's letting him go more. I don't know if he's landing more, but in terms of percentages, but he's landing more in terms of numbers. He's being more active, that's for sure. Rooks is a little relaxed. He's probably trying to set him up for the power punch, but again, Rooks has to think about more than one punch at a time right now, putting the combinations together.
And DeMark Scott doing a good job blocking many of those punches that are coming in. He's keeping his hands up, and he didn't do that in the first fight.
Pero ahí se dieron en los últimos 10 segundos sí se dieron bien y bonito. Parece que ambos conectaron y ahorita vamos a ver la repetición. Ojalá no la den de esa última entrevista que tuvieron en los 10 últimos segundos. The last 10 seconds, I think, was the best of that round we had.
They opened up right at the end of the round a little bit, both fighters.
We see a little blood now coming from the nose of DeMark Scott, and as his cornerman, Fred Buggy, tends to his man, we also see a replay now as DeMark Scott comes in, their legs tangle, and hands up for DeMark Scott as we get ready for the third round of this 4-round cruiserweight bout here at the Orleans Hotel and Casino. Crown Boxing sold out show tonight.
Eso es impresionante. Crown Boxing se merecía Frank Luca porque ha estado trabajado suficiente y creemos que vamos como las 16 peleas aquí en Las Vegas. Se empezó en el Stardust y ahora estamos aquí en el Orleans Casino este 11 de enero del 2008 estrenando peleas, estrenando año y como no, va a haber muchas como estas.
And now as DeMark Scott comes out jabbing again, they're falling short, his jabs, but he's keeping him out there. And again, a left-right combination by DeMark Scott. Both fall short. Calvin Rooks doing a good job keeping his distance as he throws the jab on his own now. 3 jabs out of the gate, and those are the first real dedication that we've seen Calvin Rooks to his jab.
Es bastante respeto el que se tienen y no quieren cometer el error porque en el contragolpe son dos boxeadores que en realidad están esperando el contragolpe para hacer valer su ley.
Yeah, I got to tell you what though, the difference in the impact of him is measurable, and they're starting to show its effect on the face of DeMark Scott.
One reason I think Calvin Rooks is having a tough time is that he's throwing those jabs from his waist. If you notice, the proper way to throw the jab is from your hand being up and shooting it straight out. Calvin Rooks keeps his left hand low, and he's almost throwing it off of his waist, his hip, and it's taking a little longer to get there. I think if he were to be throwing those from higher, he'd be landing at a much greater percentage.
Yeah,
well, he's also not really, committing to it totally. When he has snapped it out, with snap, he's done well, but he's using it to measure a lot of times as well.
Sin lugar a dudas, el golpe mejor de Calvin Rooks ha sido su uppercut y también su gancho. Y vemos que se le acabó un poco la velocidad con la que entró y ahora también pues a DeMark Scott está haciendo valer su presencia aquí en el ring esta noche de boxeo caliente en función de Crown Boxing.
One thing I will say again,
DeMark Scott throws a 4-punch combination and he missed all 4 punches, but he has been busier.
Yeah, you know what, Carlos? The main difference is DeMark Scott doesn't seem to be scared. He's gotten the jitters out of the way. He's fought this guy before, and he seems to be willing to trade with this guy, and he's doing a good job at it.
I know, again, a good job is a matter of opinion. His percentages can't be very high because he misses good 5 punches every one he lands, but, the judges don't always notice all the fine detail. And the fact is that he is being busier out here. And, in a fight like this, it's really up for grabs. You really have that opportunity to out-hustle your opponent or maybe even catch him with a counter as he just did.
I think unless Calvin Rooks starts throwing more punches and landing more leather, he's going to have a tough time convincing the judges that he's the victor tonight.
Y ambos están atacando al cuerpo y pues vemos que es una pelea muy entretenida y son la clase de peleas que nos gustan para que el público siga viniendo a estas funciones de Crown Inn aquí en el Orleans Casino que se ponen de color de hormiga.
The thing is,
a nice overhand right by DeMark Scott on the chin of Calvin Rooks, and Calvin Rooks throwing a right to the body, and now both of them in the center of the ring letting their hands go, and we are getting ready for the 4th and final round of this somewhat interesting cruiserweight match.
Y DeMark Scott ya trae sangrita en la nariz, vemos que pues sí los lastimaron un poco los golpes de Calvin Rooks y pues a él le están trabajando en la esquina tratando de pararle la hemorragia que en realidad es un poco prematura, pero pues es prevenir que lamentar, ¿no? Ahí vemos los golpes en la repetición que se dieron.
See, what you saw there, actually, Calvin Rooks was winging his punches wide. He landed with them, but by one of the things that we mentioned Scott is doing so well, his punches are coming in straight. You know.
That's right. You look at the replay there, and again, the jabs falling short. DeMark Scott coming through, but if you notice, he's the one throwing the jab. We saw some more activity behind the jab of Calvin Rook in the third round, and now as Joe Cortez is going to touch gloves between both boxers, we get ready for the fourth and final round.
And I would think that both fighters know that this fight's probably on the line right here, so expect some action here. Wow, look at DeMark Scott. He's going right after.
Eso me gusta. Que saben que es el último asalto y entran con todo para tratar de impresionar a los jueces y, como no, tratar de ganar la pelea.
You said that DeMark Scott's a guy whose career is on the line here to a certain sense. Well, he's fighting like it, Castle.
Yeah, well, you know, Calvin Rooks just does not seem like he has the heart tonight. He seems like he's willing to stand there and deflect and dodge many of these punches, and he is doing so. I don't think that he's in much danger of getting knocked down, for instance. Rooks, he hasn't been in danger throughout the fight, but he's just not active enough.
Not letting the hands go enough, exactly. He keeps trying to catch him with the counter one punch or set him up, as opposed to doing it the harder way, which is to punch your way in a good combination or a good boxing angle.
You know, Calvin Rooks looks like the better boxer, but tonight DeMark Scott seems to be performing like the better boxer, and I think it's going to show on the judges' scorecards as we are in the middle point of this fourth and final round, and now the crowd on their feet. Some of them really want to see this fight end in a knockout in convincing style, and let's see if DeMark Scott has what it takes to finish this fight.
Calvin Rooks is the favorite of the crowd here, I would think.
Calvin Rooks
that way from the introductions anyway.
Calvin Rooks despertó el león que trae DeMark Scott adentro, porque vimos que la vez pasada, como decía ahorita Caso, era para que pues intimidara, y vimos todo lo contrario, que entró pues con todo a tratar de repartir y a tratar de poner también su huella esta noche aquí en el Orleans Casino.
And a nice right hand by DeMark Scott again lands on the chin of Calvin Rooks. Now Calvin Rooks with a wide overhand right lands, but it's DeMark Scott who gets the crowd roaring as he lands some shots to the body, mostly blocked, but again he's throwing them to Calvin Rooks.
Bueno, no sabemos si les pegó o no, pero pues él trata de hacer la pelea fuerte, mientras que podemos que Calvin Rooks de un golpe, pero en realidad sí lo acierta cuando no es económico, pero cuando dispara de una manera contundente y sí acierta donde quiere aterrizar sus guantes.
And Calvin Rooks throwing a right to the body. Calvin Rooks, rather, nowhere to be found. And
yeah, and the body punch is nowhere to be found, which is surprising to me as well.
And you hear the crowd asking for Calvin Rooks to work. He just, for some reason, has not let his hands go, and I don't even know, short of a knockout, if he has enough time to really let his hands go and sway the judges. I see this bout going to DeMark Scott as we come to the end of the fourth round. I just see him to be the more active boxer, a confident boxer, and DeMark Scott is really impressed me so far tonight.
Pues a ver, ahora vemos, a ver tú, Carlos, ¿cómo tienes la pelea?
Well, I have a 3-1, 38 to 39 to 37 in favor of DeMark Scott. What a comeback to the kid's career here. He showed up today. He was just more willing today than Calvin Rooks. Calvin seemed tight the whole fight. Couldn't seem to release the punches as much as he needed to. Here we see a replay, and you see combinations from DeMark Scott, single punches from Calvin Rooks, and that's kind of the difference here.
It's the story of the fight, really. It's a story of combinations versus
La única diferencia es, como hizo Caso, que pues a Calvin Rooks estaba lastimando con un solo golpe, pero lo estaba atinando, pero DeMark Scott está tirando en montones, pero no sabemos qué tanto puede haber anotado para que los jueces puedan anotar en su favor.
And that is the question mark.
Well, we shall see.
We know who was the busier, but he landed enough for those punches that he was throwing. Always nervous time when you talk about these decisions.
It seemed like DeMark Scott really gained confidence as the fight went on. He came in confident, and his confidence kept building, and he seemed to really outwill Calvin Rooks tonight, because Calvin just didn't seem to bring it tonight as we've seen him do in the past. I don't think we saw the A game of Calvin Rooks tonight.
Vamos a darle mejor
We're going to find out the official word right now. As
we're going to send it up now to Jake Gutierrez for the official word.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 4 rounds in the cruiserweight division, we go to the scorecard. Judge Paul Smith scored this bout 39-37. He scores it in favor of Scott. Judge Jerry Roth scored the bout 39-37. He scores it in favor of Rooks. And Judge Ricardo Ocasio scored this bout 38-38. This bout has been declared a draw.
Well, there you have it, and you hear the disappointment from the crowd as this...
Esa es lo que te estaba diciendo, Caso, que dijiste tú, uno está golpeando uno, el otro atiende montones, pero no está atinando bastante. Es quizás lo que los jueces miraron, porque pues sabemos que estaban jueces en cada esquina. Ellos tuvieron más oportunidad de mirar más de cerca si está anotando o no.
Well, the question mark here is it worth a third go around here for these guys?
Well, that's going to be up to Frank Luca, and it's going to be up to the fans, because right now I hear a lot of disappointment in the air, and you know, I'm a little disappointed too. I feel that this fight should have been declared a victory, if not a unanimous decision, certainly 3 rounds to 1 for DeMark Scott. He showed the effective aggressiveness, he showed the heart, he threw more punches, he landed more punches, and he should have come away with a victory tonight.
Well, the question mark again was, however, while he was the busier guy, did he land enough percentage? He was landing maybe 1 out of every 5-6 punches he threw at times, and that may be what was his undoing perhaps in this fight. While he was busier, maybe just not accurate enough. You know, judges have different ways of looking at these fights sometimes, and Rooks did at times, you know, maintain the right distance. He showed some ring generalship. There are different ways by which to judge this fight. Guys,
well, that's why they're the judges and we're the commentators, I suppose. And you know, that was.
This is Las Vegas, though. You know, we see quite a few very odd ones in this town for sure.
Yeah, well, you know, that one is in the books, but we have nothing but excitement to look forward to here tonight.
En realidad, lo que importa esta noche, en realidad, que estamos teniendo unas peleas que aunque el público no le agrada el veredicto, las peleas han estado en sí buenas peleas.